How did Squid Game make $900 million for Netflix when Netflix charges all subscribers, within the same subscription tier, the same amount of money regardless of whether they watched Squid Game on Netflix or not? What if someone subscribes to Netflix and watches Squid Game plus 50 other shows? Netflix has access to lots of account analytics. New Netflix accounts created to watch Squid Game could easily be known. The right way to do it is to try and calculate two numbers and add them up. First is to determine, out of all the accounts that were created or reactivated since Squid Games was announced, how many did so because of SG? If they normally have 10,000 new returning accounts a month, and from SG announcing through now the average increased to 13,000, they could claim that 3,000 of those new monthly subscription payments come from accounts that are only there because of SG. Second is to determine, out of all the accounts that did not cancel during this time, how many stuck around because of SG. Again, if they normally have 6,000 cancellations and it drops to 4,000, then they could claim 2,000 subscriptions a month continued because of SG. As you can guess, these are pretty loose numbers which have a lot of data backing them up, but also Netflix is strongly incentivized to be optimistic as to the impact SG had. Internally, they are going to be a lot more rigorous in calculating the numbers because they want to know exactly how much money they made for every dollar invested into different products. But externally they are happy to give the upper limit of estimates so they look better. For example, for more accurate numbers, they wouldn't just look at a single program or treat every account the same. They'd say, we gained 3,000 more than usual, but actually 6,000 of the new accounts watched SG earlier than the average customer, or X demographic had a 700% increase in return rates than usual. They'd also consider what else was released or removed and try to model likely outcomes if SG had not been added. There isn't any money stealing going on, which is also one of the tricks. They might decide that 40% of a new account's subscription was due to SG and 25% due to some other new thing and 35% on general advertising. Or they may just count the subscription's entire amount for both SG and the other new thing. Externally, in private, they very much track the percentages because they have to be able to decide if it is worth dropping another $200 million on expanding Korean horror or some other genre. Lastly, you'd have to look at how they calculated the $900 million number. Is that actual money or account * monthly subscription fee * 12 months? In other words, is it actual money or just estimated money based on some idea or another, real or imagined, on how long the accounts should be expected to continue? Hey, something I actually know. Assigning value to a streaming title is an evolving field. Netflix can easily see how many hours people watched the show, how many accounts were created to watch Squid Game, etc. But the hard part is actually figuring out how much those hours and first streams are worth. There's no set rule that 1 hour equals 10 cents or anything like that. In reality, all the streaming companies use their own internal formulas and weigh these different metrics like hours and first streams, and with Netflix formula they estimated Squid Game to have generated $900 mil for them. And number X200B. It is very important to note that companies will always tweak these formulas to paint their titles in the brightest light too. There are a few ways to calculate this. 1. Netflix made $9 billion and 10% of their total watch time was on Squid Game. 2. Netflix made $2 billion worth of new subscribers and 50% of those subscribers watched Squid Game. 3. It was watched 100 million times, and if it was in theaters, it would have made $900 million. This is possibly the most suspicious and most common analytic. 4. Some other complicated analytics. By knowing how many existing accounts watched Squid Game and how many new ones were created to watch it, there's also Squid Game merchandise. According to the Netflix merchandise store, which today I learned actually exists, suckers will pay $200 for a Squid Game hoodie. Pure streamers use internal metrics to measure the success of a show. The top line is subscriber revenue. Anything below that is an allocation. The introduction of an ad tier will make things more interesting. Streamers will now have another top-line metric to measure, but in the case of ads, one that directly supports individual titles. Merch and partnership deals represent a much smaller impact on revenue. Think Squid Game's Halloween costumes or Funko figures. Netflix, $900 million. Actors, nice. Pay us, Netflix. Let's say you pay Netflix $10 every month and watch 20 hours of content. So basically you paid 50 cents per hour of content. Now you have watched Squid Game for 10 hours in 1 month. So you paid $5 to watch Squid Game. Multiply with number of viewers and you get $900 million. Now this is a grossly simplified model. Netflix will have much complicated analytics to get this number. For example, how many people took a new subscription to watch Squid Game, etc. But it all boils down to how much you paid and how much time you spent watching Squid Game, so a part of your fee can be assigned to the show directly. I might be reading the comments wrong, but I think what OP is asking is how does Netflix divide the earnings? For the sake of making math easy, I'm say $100,000 a month is brought in through Netflix subscriptions, $20 mode for 5,000 accounts. If show A makes $50K from Netflix, show B also makes $50K. Show C makes $30, and Netflix takes a cut of $70K. Where is the extra $100K coming from? Squid Game's financial success for Netflix doesn't directly correlate with individual viewers' subscriptions or the number of times a specific show is watched. Instead, its impact on Netflix revenue stems from its ability to attract and retain subscribers, drive engagement on the platform, and bolster Netflix's overall value proposition. Here's how Squid Game contributed to Netflix revenue. Subscriber growth. The popularity of Squid Game likely drew in new subscribers who were intrigued by the show's buzz and wanted to watch it. Increased subscriber numbers mean more revenue for Netflix, as each new subscriber pays a monthly fee. Subscriber retention. For existing subscribers, compelling content like Squid Game encourages them to continue their subscription rather than canceling it. When subscribers see value in the content Netflix offers, they're more likely to remain loyal customers, thus maintaining a steady revenue stream for the platform. International expansion. Squid Game's global success highlights Netflix's ability to create content with broad appeal across different regions and cultures. This success can further Netflix's expansion into new markets, attracting subscribers worldwide and increasing its revenue potential. Brand value and negotiation power. High-profile hits like Squid Game enhance Netflix brand image and negotiating power. Successes like this can attract top talent, secure lucrative deals with content creators, and potentially increase subscription prices in the future without significant backlash from subscribers. Regarding your question about someone subscribing to Netflix and watching Squid Game plus other shows, each subscriber contributes to Netflix's overall revenue, regardless of the specific content they watch. Netflix doesn't operate on a pay-per-view model, instead, it relies on monthly subscription fees. So, whether a subscriber watches just Squid Game or Squid Game plus 50 other shows, they are all contributing to Netflix revenue through their subscription fees. It's also notable that this number likely includes any and all related profits such as merch, increase in subscriber revenue, etc. etc. They made every piece of capitalist garbage you could buy. Some very complicated data analytics about what people watch, when they watched it, and when they subscribed. They can see who subscribed and then immediately watched Squid Games, and what accounts were statistically likely to cancel their account based on usage but stayed to watch the show. It's not as exact a science as traditional retail figures, but when you're talking about metadata, it all averages out and they can calculate to a fairly specific number how a show affects the subscription rates of a show, which is how they choose which shows to keep and also why they often cancel expensive shows even if they are relatively popular. Those masks and hoodies everyone bought sure made some bucks. If you pay $20 a month for your Netflix account, and during a single month, you watched 5 hours of Squid Game, and 15 hours of other stuff, then your account contributed $5 to Squid Game. The formula is probably more complex than that, but I guess that's the gist of it. Maybe they include merchandise in the figures and selling TV rights? There's an element people don't realize, even with real theater movies, is that people can see multiple things. See Oppenheimer versus Barbie, as if it's one or the other. I could go see Oppenheimer and Barbie in the same day. People think it's an either-or situation, but they have analytics to see the ratio of users watching one show over the others. I'm a bit late to the party, but I did royalty accounting and have worked with Netflix through sub-licensing. Basically, there is a revenue split with Netflix. Then they take the number of active users and then split their watch time to the shows. Let's say the user watches 3 shows, but one of them was half the total watch time. So the monthly cost is split by watch time on those 3 shows, and then the company that sub-licensed it gets the shared percentage of that. For non-active users, it is split evenly across all shows, which is why Netflix making a bunch of their own content is interesting, as it increases their share of the sharing pie. Because they just completely made it up? I mean, come on, right? They can make up any number they want. Who is going to fact-check them? They're the only ones who have access to their user data. They're definitely lying. If a show on broadcast had made them as much money as Squid Games, it would have a second season the very next year. Now it seems as if every Netflix original show has a first season that is a worldwide phenomenon, has a second season that's VOA, and maybe a third season that you don't find out about until years after it drops if they're lucky.